A little past nowhere. Ch.1. The new normal. Adam Harper. Captain's log, stardate. I looked over at the calendar on the wall. Tuesday, or is it Space Tuesday? Dates mean nothing in space. There's like 1,000 species out here and all of them have their own dates and time. Star Trek lied to me. Adam, are you done talking to yourself? 'Cause I need my hand back. Kalug, one of my best friends, called out from the waiting room. Kalug was a Roostian, a people I nicknamed Space Orcs, thick with muscle and juicy with brain. They're somewhere between a half-orc from D&D and Warcraft, with the brain of Albert Einstein. To be fair, most spacefaring people tend to be rather advanced, so to me he might be a genius, but to everyone else he was average. Just making a report to the chief, making sure she knows I fixed your hand for the 100th time this week, I huffed, walking out to the shop proper with his large prosthetic. What have you been doing with this thing? I placed it on the counter. Kalug's right arm was some nice tech. It made anything made on Earth look like barely held together scrap. Keeping you in business, he teased, locking his arm back in place, testing the hand by rotating the joints and checking its combat features. Being a space cop tended to get dangerous. Yeah, well you blew out 3 nerve connectors and the shield's battery pack. That shit ain't cheap, I huffed. Put it on the station's tab. Oh I am, so when the chief comes down here in person for the cost this week, I'm going to point to you. It's the bloody Ranticas. Damn magic always fries my arm, he huffed. Why don't you just add some runes then? I'll ask Drebber, she owes me a favor. The station doesn't do magical augmentations. I would have to pay out of my own pocket and that shit can get expensive. How about an enchantment? They're cheaper, I countered. And unpredictable. Damn things tend to give out and you never know when, he huffed. They also tend to give the metal a weird smell. Yeah, that would be awkward during a firefight. I just don't want my cash cow dying on me, I teased. Gee, thanks, I can feel the love, he drawled. Good for drinks tonight. Yeah, got one more job today. Zoe wants me to help fix up the old holo projector in town. That old thing, I thought it was a statue. I shrugged, she wants it to work for this year's Rotation Day celebration. Sisk, it's been another year already, he nodded, see you there. And bring Tia, that girl needs to get out of the office. And flip the sign, I yelled at his retreating back. I quickly walked back into my work area, grabbed my bag of holding with all my field equipment, and walked out to the Nimbus station. Okay, so a little background. Name's Adam Harper, engineer, single, kidnapped victim. To make a long uninteresting story short, I was abducted on my way home from my brother's wedding in Vegas, fun time, a great party, long boring drive back to California. I of course didn't make it, got snatched on the road. Turns out aliens don't just probe and release, they also keep toys. Lucky for me, I got saved by the local space cops, but the kidnappers covered their tracks and deleted any log data trying to hide their base. And since I wasn't Neil deGrasse Tyson, I didn't know what star was Sol, and let me tell you, space is big, so unless you knew some detailed 3-dimensional coordinates, you weren't getting home. So that's how I ended up here. Nimbus Station. Eat your heart out, sci-fi and fantasy nerds. The galaxy is a large place with just about everything, kinda. The translator in my brain was doing its best to make things work, but some words weren't one-to-one. Like, I call the ring world I'm on, the Nimbus, but that was the closest word that made sense in my mind. It was a marvel of engineering, from complete weather control to different biomes. It also had a different ring made of trillions of solar-absorbing satellites that provided the station with infinite energy and would link up together to create a day-night cycle of 26 hours, a 7-day week, 400 days a year. Well, at least to me, again, time and dates were weird from species to species, but we kept to the station's cycle for society's sake. The Nimbus was a diplomatic station, where the Council of Races made it home. Technically speaking, I was a representative of Earth, but there was only one of me, so I didn't have any political power. It didn't stop me from getting into an engineering program at one of the station's learning centers as a foreign diplomat. I mean, I was in space, you better believe I wanted a spaceship. Too bad they're stupidly expensive, I got hired working for the Nimbus Security for a while, but the private sector got me more jobs and my own schedule. Not only that, but I got to move from Central City. That place sucked, way too congested, and the cleaning bots ran at all hours of the day. I lost my mind for a few days. The Edge was more my city, more space and a place to park. I hopped on my sky bike and took off toward the city square, finding Drebber the space wizard, talking with the town mayor next to the holo projector. I need new carving tools, Drebber huffed. It's not in the budget, Zephone, the mayor and space tiefling, answered. I'm here, I called out, parked my bike and walked over to them. You're late, Zephone huffed, rolling her eyes. You have no idea how much I love the fact some gestures are universal. Kalug's arm needed extra tender love and care. What are we looking at? I asked, looking over to the old holo projector. Drebber scoffed. The damn thing is ancient. Half the runes have faded. Just enchant it for rotation day, Zephone countered. I can't, she groaned. The rune sentence is broken. Who knows what might happen if I power it up? We need to remake the missing pieces, something I told you last year when you asked me. It wasn't in the budget, Zephone sighed. What are we looking at? I asked, checking the projector gears and energy supply. Everything was rusty to the point where it looked ready to start turning to dust. Hot damn, how old is this thing? I started taking pictures and measurements. Rune work is broken, Drebber huffed. I immediately jumped back. Have you lost your marbles? You let me get close to that thing. It's not on, Zephone huffed. Zoe, I love you, I really do, but we need to chuck that thing into the star, I hissed. Good luck with that, Drebber rolled her eyes. Magic, was magic, I don't know how to explain it, it just was, like fire is fire. I'm sure there is a scientist out there that can explain what fire is and how it works, but I can't. What I do know is that fire burns, hot, and it is not a pretty way to go. Magic is like that, some kind of energy people can use to affect reality, from creating water to shooting fireballs. Learn how to use that energy and you become a wizard. Some people are lucky, they are born with the ability, called sorcerers. Again, they aren't really called that. Many species don't believe in magic, but my human brain could only translate it as magic. Drebber was a vase, a humanoid amphibian with prehensile hair tentacles, something that caught my attention the first time I arrived on the station. While not all aliens looked human, a lot more than I thought did, to the point that I thought that being bipedal was just something intelligent species evolved into. Sky gods, you two are such babies, Zoe groaned. Zoe was a Ch.1, a humanoid people that looked like tieflings with horns and tails. This stuff might as well be explodium, I hissed. Runes are dangerous, to say the least. Where an enchantment might give something a magical property, like giving a bag extra space or giving some boots the ability to double jump, runes make them permanent as long as the rune holds. If the rune is weathered beyond reading or damaged, one of two things will happen. 1. The rune fails and does nothing, or 2. It explodes. The mana in the rune has nowhere to go, becoming a runaway reaction and exploding. Fine, can you replace it? What's the rune sentence? Drebber asked, standing over my shoulder as I unlatched the large sphere from its floor rotator. It was like a giant disco ball. Zoe shrugged. I don't know, it's somewhere in the town's archives. Can you get it done by the rotation day? I'm not answering that, Drebber huffed. Adam, you got any sheets of metal? I have a few, need my workshop. She tisked. Probably. Am I still in your system? You're the only artificer in town and friend. My workshop is your workshop. I gave her a teasing bow. Zoe, this is going to take some time. Some of these projectors are long gone, and the rust has eaten into everything. We are going to need Vectic's help to make a new frame and check the rotator. God knows how long it's been since someone's looked at it. When I first got to the town, I made it my job to get as many friends as I could, call it loneliness or some kind of human pack syndrome, but I needed people, not just as a businessman but as a person. Being the only human on the station made me afraid. I remember my first month here. It was the worst feeling of my life, surrounded by millions of people but never talking to anyone, with a constant headache as my translator adapted to my brain. Drebber was an artificer, someone who worked on runes and enchantments, making a smart business move to be friends. Anything needing a mechanical fix came to me, and anything needing a magical touch went to her. Zoe was the city mayor, and I needed her help setting up my shop and skipping some lines. To be fair, she also used me to help her political goals. She once said that the whole human race on the station was supporting her. She wasn't wrong. Fine, see what you can do. I'll have Vectic meet you at your shop. Remember, rotation day. She gave us a thumbs up, a little human gesture I taught her. It was cute. Don't get your hopes up, Drebber huffed, flipping her off, another gesture I taught. It's fun being an alien sometimes. I bumped her with my hips. Go get the blueprints, I'll get this stuff to the shop. Don't break anything, she huffed and walked away with Zoe. No promises, I teased, putting the rest of the projector into my bag of holding. It didn't take me long to get back to the shop and get things spread out. Bend me over, I sighed. Half the junk here was scrap best used to toss into a recycler. Some things might be useful, but it would need some replacements. I'm guessing Zoe wanted to keep its classic look. I pulled out one of its projector lenses. It reminded me of one out of my family's old box TV. It had some serious detail. I had no idea who made this thing, but clearly, they took their time. You couldn't even see the lenses. I started stripping the disco ball. The wiring was way more complicated than a modern holographic projector, but nothing too difficult for me to replace, or at least upgrade. I'll learn more when Drebber gets here. Got the plans. Speak of the devil. Workshop. She walked in with a book. Ah, what is that? I was expecting a blueprint. She dropped the book on the desk. Don't get me started, she huffed. Damn thing is a landmark. The last people who used this thing were the town founders, and they wrote every little thing. Vectic. In the middle of another project, she'll come by tomorrow. She demands for Kalug to be here in a human thong, she joked. Kalug and Vec have been in a cat and mouse chase since I've met them. Selling human fashion was coming back to bite me. What do we have? She looked over my shoulder. Rust, as far as I can see. Half the wires are busted, and the projectors need to be replaced. Payday, she smirked. That's if we can make this thing work. Look at it. Zoe should just buy a new one and paint it old, I muttered. Not if she wants to be re-elected. Half the fossils in this town would lose their minds. She huffed, looking through the runes on the outer panels. By the sleeping great ones, she sighed. Some of these are ancient. I can't even read this one. It was my turn to stand over her shoulder. What metal is that? I gently took the piece she was looking at. It's not hyper-compressed steel like the rest of the station. It wouldn't be rusting this bad. It's a copper alloy. Look at the green rust. And the blue glow. Leaking Mindic. I'm surprised it still had any. Mindic was liquid magic, kinda. It's normal water infused with a rare mineral, manatic, that can absorb magical energy. Where that energy came from was still a mystery to everyone. Some say it was the gods, others think it was just some kind of dark matter. Artificers could use Mindic to power runes, wizards use it to cast spells, and sorcerers drink it to regain their mana. It has no use for normal people, at least in any significant way. Some people think it gives them back their youth. Drebber called those people idiots. Should we be worried? She dipped her pinky finger into the liquid and gave it a taste. Nah, this stuff is super watered down. The projector probably drained most of the manatic in the Mindic. Please don't taste random glowing things in my shop, I drawled. Ha, I think you're the first guy I know who doesn't want me to put things in my mouth, she laughed. Oh, I can think of a lot of things that could go into your mouth, but mysterious glowing liquids isn't one of them, I joked. Tease, she smirked. Did me and Drebber have a thing? No, it never went past teasing. I liked Drebber, she was funny and cute, but she was also my business friend. If anything happened and we had a bad time, we might affect our livelihoods. I wasn't joking about Kalug being my cash cow, but it was Drebber that got me living comfortably. We help each other and I don't need to ruin that, even if I wanted otherwise. You know me, I got to keep my customers happy. I started pulling apart the runic panels off the rest of the projector. Oh, thinking about that shirtless idea I gave you. You're no Kalug, but you're not bad, she teased, organizing the panels and labeling them. And give away the goods for free? No way, I scoffed. Heads up, rune in some of the lens. I passed her projector lens. Ugh, who does that? She muttered. Someone who loves their craft, I shrugged. Yeah, but in a lens. That overkill, it doesn't even work on the lens, it doesn't have a connecting rune. She put it off to the side. What's it do? No idea, it's old and a lot of runes have been lost to time, mostly because new runes could do the job better with less work. Just move them off to the side. I'll see if I have to replace them or if we can just use some tech to substitute. And that's how the next 3 hours went, talking about nothing and pulling apart a magical ancient disco ball, a normal Tuesday night. Most of the runes needed to be redone, it needed a new frame, and I could only save a quarter of the projectors. Yeah, this thing was going to cost Zoe an arm and a leg. I checked my watch. All right, it's quitting time, I called out. What? She looked at her watch. It's barely 8. You need to work on your time management, girl. We're our own boss, but also our only employee. If we don't give ourselves time to rest and relax, we'll fall apart. Or humans are just lazy, she huffed. That too, I smirked. Come on, I'm meeting Kalag and Tia at the bar. We'll deliver the payment plan to Zoe tomorrow. I got your first drink. Ah, I'm good. I feel like working a bit more. If I want to finish my part before rotation day, it's best I start now. I narrowed my eyes at her. You sure? Zoe will try and lowball us, making this thing a waste of time. Yeah, go on and have fun. She waved me away. I shrugged. If you say so, if you're feeling tired you know where my guest room is. I gestured to the stairs. I know, not our first project. She waved me off. All right, love you, I teased, walking out the back door. Shut up baby, I know it, she laughed. I loved that punk.